Good evening. Welcome back to Marty's Tying Bench. Tonight I'm putting together our pattern for Pub and Dub. That's the social fly tying for the Rocky Mountain Flycasters TU chapter. Tonight's pattern is called a Mr. Clean. It's a simple black stonefly. Doesn't even have a tail. It was designed by local tyer Greg Sheets, and it was always a favorite of his dad's, the late Doc Sheets, dear friend and a man who enjoyed fly fishing for all the right reasons. Got a size 10 here. It's you can tie this in 10s, 12s, any size you want. Got 020 lead, and I like 8 turns because I can adjust this to serve as a kind of an index and help with my proportions. Now I'm going to build a little bit of a thread dam in front. I got that front right up there about an eye length, maybe a little bit more behind the front. Jump the thread to the back. Build a little bit of a thread dam. Now the rear of this lead is just a little bit forward of the middle of the hook, and that'll be a good place for a transition from the abdomen to the thorax. For wire, you want to use a heavier wire, at least Brassie size, and maybe even medium. I got some armature wire that's kind of a reddish brown copper, whatever you want to call it, but good color and a good thickness. I got this from taking apart the motor of an old fan that gave up the ghost. So there, I've just tied the wire in along the side, tie it back to right about where the hook starts to bend. By dubbing, you can use anything. Awesome possum, this is rabbit. You want something that's a little bit spiky. Squirrel, I think, would look good. But rabbit is by far one of the easier materials to dub, and you will still get the benefit of guard hairs sticking out. Okay, now I dubbed it kind of thinly so that I can shape a little bit. But I'm going to put a layer on there front to back and then get a turn behind the wire. And then as I come forward, I'll pay a little more attention to creating a little bit of a taper. Add a little bit of dubbing if you need to. I need to. But what I'm going to try and do is get one turn of this up onto the lead. There we go. And it's still a nice taper. When you rib it, I put the ribs a little closer together than I normally might on a fly, because I want them to be distinct and give it some segmentation. If you cut your wire with scissor tips, don't use the tips. It's hard, especially this heavier wire. So there we go, got the back half of the fly done. And we're going to install our wing case, which in this case is regular old rayon chenille like you would tie a woolly booger with. Except this is white, and you don't have much call for white. And it's the small size. And move my thread forward, and definitely leave plenty of space up here for your tie-off and your soft hackle. Back to the dubbing. Now that lead wasn't just for weight, it was for proportions, and it provided some bulk up at the front, some diameter, so I really won't need that much rabbit to fill it in. Now always check the bottom of your fly to make sure you've connected your thorax to your abdomen smoothly. And your thorax should be at least as big and maybe even just a little bit bigger than the abdomen. Pull that chenille over. Get a couple turns to tie it off. Now we're ready for the soft hackle. Any soft hackle will do. You can use partridge or grouse, or this is an inexpensive hen neck or hen feathers that you might have seen. I like this one because it's a dark gray, and that goes good with black. If I was tying this stonefly in brown, I might choose a brown feather, and you can even find a good one on a partridge skin, the ones with those white stripes down them, good soft hackles. This one's even got a little speckling to it, which is a plus. I'm going to separate this somewhere in the middle so that the length of the fibers that I tie in will extend back at least to the middle of the fly, maybe even a little farther back. When I tie these in, I like to reverse them so it's cupped up, so the feather curvature will help. And then I just put my thumb on it, hold it in place while I tie it in. And I think you can see that. I've tied in some fibers. I didn't tie in right on the stem where these things separate. I want to get some fibers in there because that will help secure this thing so it won't pull out, but it protects the stem from breaking, which can happen if you tie it in right on the stem with tight turns. Okay, now tug on that now, make sure it's in firm. I'll trim that off on the back. Now, the neat way to do this is to fold these feathers back, and you can crease them and sit there and wiggle your fingers and pinch really hard and eventually stroke them to where they stay on one side. But if you've left enough space between here and the eye, it won't matter. Just comb them back as you wrap. Because now I can sweep those back with my fingers, and as my thread goes from front to back and pushes against the dubbing, it will make those things splay out just a little bit and make them all go back. So there you go. I'm pretty much done, but the head's still pretty skinny. I can build this up a little bit, flatten my thread and shape it a little bit. And when I like it, I'll whip finish and lacquer. And I kind of tug those feathers off to the side to let that wing case show through. And the head cement, lacquer, water-based, whatever you like to use. And there you have it. A nice simple black stonefly pattern that was designed for our local waters, the Thompson and the Poudre and Rocky Mountain National Park. So there you go. Tie a few of these for your box and stay close to home. Mr. Clean.